Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you watched my last video, I talked about singles and why some Pokemon card singles have suddenly shot up in price. And, it was to do with a few things. I suppose on a smaller level, it was to do with the fact that, money moves around the hobby and maybe some money's being moved towards the Scarlet and Violet era because people feel like, the cards are perhaps undervalued and not appreciated enough. But then the second and main part was this whole notion of herd mentality. You're going to have to watch the video to go over it. But they're the two reasons I think a lot of cards have been, pumping up in price, like the Bubble Mew, the Charizard from 151, Greninja from Twilight Masquerade even. But how can we predict, I suppose, whether cards are undervalued? Now, that's a hard one. And I also said at the start of the last video, it's so hard with singles to know exactly what's going to move in price. Like, it's almost impossible. Singles do this. Sometimes they come out of the gate hot. Sometimes they come out of the gate low and shoot up in price. But more often than not, they come out of the gate hot, dip down a little bit as more supply hits the market. And they sort of do this throughout their life or career. And, it's really hard to know what's going to happen. So I'm not going to say these cards are definitely going to double in value. What I'm saying is some of these cards, to me, based on the artwork, the Pokemon that's in there, and perhaps, past results on these sort of Pokemon cards, that they just feel a little bit undervalued. And that's okay to have these predictions. I'm not saying they're always going to be perfectly right. In fact, some of them are probably going to be wrong. It's like trying to pick, who's going to win a soccer game or an NFL match or who's going to win the Masters golf. You can make predictions based on your own knowledge and expertise. Doesn't mean you're always going to get it exactly right. But these are some cards that I just feel are extremely, extremely undervalued. Before we jump into the video though, if you haven't got the Shiny app, please download it. If you do have it, please update it. They are the sponsor of today's video. It's a great app. It's a collecting and investing app. You can put all your singles and all your sealed inside there. You can track prices. They refresh daily. There is a new update to the app. That's why I said if you can update it. So when you go into the search function and search for a product, you can now filter by set, and it'll go from newest set to oldest, with, of course, Stellar Crown sitting at the top there. When you're inside the set, you can also filter by things like price high to low, so you can see the most expensive hits from the set to the way down. There are some other improvements coming, like total set value will be added. That's a suggestion from myself. So I think Cody the creator is working on the coding. Cody the creator is working on the coding. Jeez, get that into you. Working on the coding for doing that. So that'll be awesome because I think that's really important in the Pokemon card investing space, the total value of a set. Anyway, I'll leave the links in the description to download the app. Onto the video. Let's jump straight into it. Here's 5 Pokemon cards that I feel are undervalued. Now, one of the reasons I think they're undervalued is I think community sentiment towards Scarlet and Violet is really stepping up. And because it's stepping up, there's more money going into it. And the first one I see is actually a Shrouded Fable card, and that's Persian. Now, funnily enough, I wrote down these notes for this video 3 days ago. And this is not me trying to pump up my tires. 3 days ago, this card was just under $21 US. And I thought this is a bit undervalued. It's a really, really nice artwork. It's got Persian in it. It's got that dark theme. We've got Team Rocket around the corner with a set coming out. It could bolster up this card. And I just rechecked it because I'm filming the video now. This is 3 days ago. I don't want to see any drastic changes. In case they're changed by $10, I want to be giving you accurate pricing. It's already up to like $24 in 3 days. So, hey, look, like I said, singles go like this, but I just felt that one's undervalued. In fact, I still feel it's undervalued. I'll be very surprised if this illustration rare doesn't end up a $30 or $35 card. I'm not saying that's exactly what's going to happen, but it just feels a bit undervalued, doesn't it? Particularly with Team Rocket around the corner. The second one I wanted to talk about is a Twilight Masquerade card, and that is Infernape. Now, love or hate the artwork, personally, I quite like what's going on inside this card. And it feels somewhat similar to the going-ons of the Greninja, the main chase card of this set. Of course, it's nowhere near as good, but $7.60 as a price just feels a bit undervalued in my eyes. Number 3, and this is one that I absolutely love, 151 Alakazam. I've said for a long time, and hey, look, there's a couple of special illustration rares that are knocking on the door for me, but this is still my favourite special illustration rare from the whole Scarlet and Violet era. I loved, back on the original game, getting Alakazam and battling with Alakazam. He's one of my favourite Pokemon. I love the Psychic type, of course, and this artwork is just phenomenal. Like, I don't know anyone that said they don't like this card. And, based on what some of the other, I suppose, good Gen 1 Pokemon that have been loosely littered throughout Scarlet and Violet so far, Bubble Mew, Charizard from 151, Charizard from Paldean Fates, Magikarp from Paldea Evolved, to have Alakazam sitting at $37 as a 151 special illustration rare just feels a bit underdone. Like, I'm not saying this is going to be a $100 card, but could it possibly push to be a $45 card or a $55 card? It feels like it has every right to be at that price, and I'm surprised it's sitting where it's sitting. Once this set bumps out of rotation, which is still a while away, of course, and the printers completely switch off on it, I think we're going to see some upward pressure put on this Alakazam card. Number 4 on my list is the Metagross from Temporal Forces. If you're into playing the games back in the day, Metagross was a superstar. $10.57. This is a really, really nice artwork. Have a look at the detail inside the card. This is something that I feel around that $10 price is just a bit undervalued. Again, I'm not going to say it's going to go to a $50 card. Of course, I don't think it's going to do that. Could it double in price and eventually become a $20 US card raw? I think it possibly could. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't. A quick sort of interlude before we jump into the 5th one. Like I was saying before, there are and have been some money poured into some Pokemon cards that I think are now achieving their true or probably more realistic price. Cards like the Bubble Mew and the Charizard from 151, they deserve to be at the price they're at. There's community sentiment towards those cards. There's a little bit of herd behaviour heading towards them, but ultimately I think they've reached a price that they deserve. And I think there's more growth to come with some Scarlet and Violet cards. So moving on to, I suppose, the 5th card on the list is the Magikarp from Paldea Evolved. Now, interestingly, I thought we'd get a bigger reprint of Paldea Evolved booster boxes coming into this holiday season, and it's probably been a little bit smaller than what I thought. And hey, look, will Paldea Evolved get another reprint? Like, will it get a big reprint? It's starting to look more and more unlikely. And if that's the case, once Paldea Evolved even looks close to going out of rotation, I think we're going to see cards like the Tyranitar, the Sleeping Raichu, and in particular this Magikarp move even further north. This isn't an easy card to pull. No cards, illustration rare-wise, from Paldea Evolved are easy cards to pull. Reason being, there's such a sheer volume of them. Like, the odds of pulling one, which might be something like, 1 in 18 or thereabouts, times that by the total number of illustration rares, and you end up getting like 1 in 500 or 1 in 600 packs to pull a specific illustration rare, which means Magikarp is a really, really tough pull. And at $129 US, I can just see this tickling, like sneaking its way up to, especially when we get that out of rotation cycle come into effect. I can see this sneaking up to $140, then $150, then $160, and maybe even one day nudging $200. Possibly. Anyway, they're 5 cards that I think are just still a little bit undervalued in the Scarlet and Violet singles world. I'm Michael, this is Pokeoz, and I'll catch everyone next time.